Il y a dans l'exposition une pièce que je trouve particulièrement émouvante, c'est le poster que vous avez dessiné vous-même en 1952, vous aviez 10 ans. Ça s'appelle The Eternal City, directed and produced by Martin Scorsese. C'est incroyable. Comment à 10 ans on peut déjà s'imaginer dans le système hollywoodien avec des acteurs, il y a Marlon Brando, Jack Palance, Richard Burton, Alec Guinness, Robert Taylor, Virginia Mayo, Claire Bloom, Gene Simmons, John Carradine, Anthony Quinn, Elsa Martinelli, Jack Palance. Vous vouliez être le plus grand cinéaste du monde à 12 ans, 10 ans.
Yes, I started to make those drawings. I made smaller films in terms of 1:3:3 aspect ratio at first, and usually black and white, then some color, but I lost most of those. And then the new widescreen opened, and I became fascinated by the biblical epics, or the epics of the ancient world, really, films about the ancient world, and Rome particularly. And so I tried to make this film, The Eternal City. But I don't think I ever finished it. And directed and produced by, I think I saw it on a number of films, and obviously it's got to be Howard Hawks. It's that Hawksian, because Hawks always wrote directed and produced by, not produced and directed.
J'aimerais savoir en quoi le numérique a changé votre méthode de travail. Est-ce que ça a apporté plus de légèreté, plus de liberté? Et quelles sont les nouvelles contraintes que le numérique vous impose pour l'éclairage, la lumière, la mise en scène, la direction d'acteurs? Est-ce que vous avez le sentiment de retrouver de la liberté avec cette nouvelle technologie?
Yes, I do feel it's freer. But, you know, the problem is that in 1958 or 59, when one had the Éclair camera, and films are being made here and in France, breaking open the mystique of the studio, you know, freedom of shooting with a camera the way you have here right now. John Cassavetes, all of them using those cameras. I've been trying to get back to that, and I find that digital often helps a great deal. I've made certain films where I found that the equipment is still extraordinarily limiting in a way. Bigger and bigger productions. I always try to get back to a smaller unit. Even the film we just shot in Taipei was a fairly small unit, but still had a good, sizable crew. You know. But there's no doubt the freedom that is available today is really remarkable. And that's one of the reasons I do the documentaries and the music films too. Again, a freedom to move without moving 300 people or 200 people.
Quelles est les relations avec, parce que c'est extraordinaire, il y a des trucages absolument spéciaux, effets extraordinaires. Quelle est la participation de la volonté de ce que veut faire le metteur en scène et ce que vous propose de l'autre côté? Est-ce qu'on est complètement libre de faire ce qu'on veut, ou alors il faut parfois se plier à certaines exigences des spécialistes et des efforts spécialistes?
Oh no, the experts, no. I kept, you see, there's a naivete, I think, or ignorance about certain technical things. So if they tell me they can't do this kind of conversion or special 3, I say, no, go further. And up until the point where I start to get a headache. And then I realize, oh, I see what they mean. Okay, no, but that's good. Let's keep going. And in the case of Hugo, every time we set the camera, or what looked like a camera, I couldn't tell anymore. It was wires. Yeah, remember you saw. So every time we said it, there was a new way of making cinema, a new way, I should say, of seeing the world around me, even though I may have storyboarded the picture. So it was a learning experience every time. And you know, in a case like that, to push everyone, I know we paid for it. I mean, it was a very long shoot, and was a very arduous situation. I had to take that chance. But I do think this has also been a process since The Aviator, where I began to learn, in the case of Rob, what's his name, Rob Legato. He would show me, and I'd say, well, I want this, and he'd say, well, I can give you this, and I can give you this. And I said, well, I'd like to have that. He goes, oh, but that can't, oh, no, I can do that. And then I said, could we put a light there? No, I can't do that. So I learned a lot on Aviator to what I can ask for, what I know I can pretend not to know. You know what I mean? Like say, and they'll come up with a way. It's true. And so by the time we did Hugo, that was the big challenge. That was huge. I didn't think, we didn't realize. I think on Gangs of New York and on Aviator, I intended it to be bigger, spectacle, particularly Aviator, the spectacle of the American pioneer and the air and Hollywood and all that sort of thing, but and the hidden illness, the hidden disease of his ego, you know. But in the case of all the other films we made, I started out, we never really thought they'd be that big. There's kind of an enthusiasm, and everybody joins you, and we go there, and then we all look at each other and, and realize this is going to be a problem.
J'ai une petite question sur votre série qui va arriver en début 2016 sur HBO, qui s'appelle Vinyl. Il me semble, si ma mémoire est bonne, que ça s'appelait The Long Play et que ça devait couvrir 40 ans de l'histoire du rock et que maintenant ça va être se focaliser sur un point charnière. Donc dans les années 70, je voulais savoir comment ça s'est passé ce resserrement historique, si vous avez réalisé plus que juste le pilote, et nous parler un peu de cette série qu'on attend tous beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Oh, the series we're doing now?
Yeah.
Called Vinyl?
Yep.
Yes. Well, this is a project that Mick Jagger suggested to me in 1996 or 7 to make a film about the music business. Very different from the music world, the rock and roll world, or the rock and roll performers, the rock and roll music business. And it took many years. We tried many different forms of a long feature film, but I didn't really know where to stop. There are so many stories and so many transitions and changes, and so it became a series. And I did the pilot of the series, and the pilot is like a film. It's about an hour and 55 minutes. And I'm still mixing that now. We're mixing the sound on that now. And the rest of the first season, the last episode is being shot right now, episode 10. So we have, it became a series that covers, it takes place in 1973 in New York. Broadway, the Brill Building, all that area. Eventually, it scans a lot of time. I mean, it spans a lot of time, we hope, for the series in the future.
Do you feel that society today is affecting cinema, or do you think that cinema is having an influence on society?
It's a difficult question because I no longer am able to really, how should I put it, enjoy a film with a big audience and go to a theater. And so I experience cinema in a different way. But my impression, this may not be the absolute accuracy, but my impression is that the society has influenced the cinema from where I come from, in America. I feel that the kinds of stories that are being made, for the most part, are, and the split in cinema is very clear now. The audience participation, theme ride, action, adventure, superhero. And then there are the more moderately budgeted, simpler productions of the independent film, which to a certain extent, even though many have been Academy Award winners, are still marginalizing a lot of the artists in cinema. Yet, one can see these films everywhere now. And apparently even on a computer. So they're reaching more people. And the bigger theaters are meant for some kind of wild, visual, oral experience.
The super productions.
Yes, the super productions. Whether that's good or bad, I prefer, I come from the old days. So, you know, and I make films too that are big, in a sense. So it's not my place to speak that way, but I mean, the danger is that the young people experiencing cinema this way believe that's what cinema is. And we know that it was something else also besides, along with. But now it's just a place where you go and there's, you know, beautifully made films, extraordinarily made, but what are they saying? So in a sense, those films create the audience. And we may have missed now a generation. We may have to, this is why it's important to preserve the older films. The older film may be a film 5 years old, you know. So preserve them, show them everywhere you can, on a computer, on anything, to make them aware that cinema is also something beyond just a visceral experience of super production. There are many, I mean, Cabiria is a super production in 1914, right? I mean, these are, people want to see my film when I was when I was 11 years old was a super production. So, you know, but at that time, they were coexistent. Now I don't feel that's the case. I mean, there's productions of, big productions of Chris Nolan, for example, that combines both, in a way. You know, the incredible mind and beautifully made films and on a big scale very often. So there is that kind of, there is room. I just worry about the young generation and their impression of what cinema is.